Most of the time in 3D consciousness, third dimensional consciousness, you could say, we don't experience change unless pain is involved. That's just most of the time, not all the time. The biggest part about this, you really think about it. It's the ego, as I've mentioned in other videos and other times, our egos does not like change. It likes to be secure in its own little environment of what it perceives and does not like to shift into other levels that it's not aware of. And so in this way, a lot of times we are not willing to change a certain perspective. In a way, our higher self, our I am presence and divine self and so on, puts pressure on us to change, to align with why we came here in this lifetime to experience a certain thing in a certain way. And if we don't line up with what we came here to experience, then we're sort of like being pressured in a way to experience that. A lot of time that means that we have to experience some kind of pain in order for us to shift our consciousness to where we align with what our divine purpose is, for example, or what we came here to experience or settle or process in some way. So an example of this is something recently someone was assassinated, and it sent shockwaves out through the collective of humanity. And everyone all of a sudden started talking more about hate. And I posted something about this recently on Facebook. I've been talking about hate for years. But the main thing is, it's the pain of the loss of the person that was assassinated actually got people thinking about hate and how much hate there is in the world. And they're like, wow, more people on all sides of the political spectrum are now saying, yes, we agree, there's too much hate. We don't need to have this much fighting, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy for us to have this hate for one another and coexist in an environment together. It's too bad that we had to have someone was killed because of, the scenario. But, everything happens for a reason. Everyone is playing roles in this life. We are all different aspects of the same being, playing different roles to assist each other in becoming aware of who we truly are. The whole framework of the 3D reality is made up of mainly pain and suffering in order for us to become more aware of things that are needed for us to expand our consciousness or become aware of something that we were not aware of before. That usually requires us to change our perspective in order to see the expanded view of things. What I described to you right there is usually the process that people go through with change in the 3D consciousness. However, 3D consciousness is not our only perspective that is available to us. We do have expanded levels of our being that we can tap into and we can experience reality through. One of the main things is the 5D perspective is available for us to, and I'm using the only reason why I'm saying 3D and 5D because it's easier to just describe them as they are. The 5D, fifth dimensional level of our being, basically is a matter of us is filled with more joy and happiness. The fifth dimensional level of our being, we know more of who we are. We integrate more of that knowingness because we have connected more with our I am presence, more of our divine self, you could say your higher self, and so on. Again, this is a choice from us doing the inner work to be able to sense and feel and experience, say, the fifth dimensional perspective of things compared to a third dimensional perspective. Change in itself from a fifth dimensional perspective mainly occurs through the joy of making a new change or the joy of experiencing something new, compared to a third dimensional experience where your change is not really shifting in consciousness unless pain is involved. So this video is mainly about sharing the difference between a third dimensional change and fifth dimensional change. It has to do with more pain or more joy and or more love and so on. Both of these, say, scenarios is a matter of us and how we wish to go through change, because change in itself is the nature of creation. It's the creation of our environment, the universe, and how everything operates. It's continuous change. It's from one moment to the next is change in itself. From one day when you go to sleep and you wake up the next day, it is not exactly the same as it was the day before. Even though we might be experience a repetitive job where we do the same thing over and over, every single day is a new day. It is a new experience. There are things that happen that day that never happen again. We and ourselves are changing every single day. Our physical bodies are changing. The people around us are changing. The environment is changing. The weather is different every single day. Everything is changing around us. It's a matter of how we go through this change is the choice that we have. That is the biggest point of this video, is to see is that we hold the power within us on how we experience change. We can hold on to structures and beliefs and fears and so on and resist change until it gets so much pressure to change. Something major happens that usually involves pain or suffering, and then all of a sudden we're put in a situation to where we see things differently because of the pressure, and that pressure has to be released in some way. It usually has to come out and be processed either through physical body pain or suffering, mental, it could be emotional release or something like that. Energetic buildup has to be released in some way, shape, or form. But we don't have to wait until things get to that point to shift and change. So therefore, things don't have to explode. There doesn't have to be major trauma involved. We, as individuals, and also as a collective, can make choices to shift our consciousness views to where it aligns with more harmony and balance and peace. We don't have to go through so much turmoil and so much fighting and so much craziness to change. Every single thing that's happening on the planet right now is a result and its manifestation of what we are holding on to as a collective. As the collective of beings that we are manifesting this craziness. We also have the power to change this scenario just as easy as it is for us to go along with these craziness scenarios because of what we're holding on to. So in order for you as an individual to assist with the collective change is to allow yourself to change without power struggle, an inner power struggle within yourself. I really don't want to have to change. I don't want to release this belief that I have about myself, or of this belief or that religious belief, or this perspective or that perspective. How about just be open to change? And then when a different scenario starts to come up, and say, like, why is this happening? And what can I do to change my perspective that's going to greater align myself with the greater, say, expanse of this change that's currently taking place on earth? How can I better align myself with the changes that are currently taking place on earth right now? How can I align myself with the new, say, frequencies and energies that are currently available for us to integrate right now, that are here, that we were not previously able to tap into before because of our perspectives? What can I do? So focus on what you can do, and what we can do is on ourselves. We can change ourselves. That's everything else. We can't change other people. We can't change the current framework of the political systems, mainly because they're being held up by a percentage of the population right now and saying, this is what we want. We want this dualistic two-party system. And we want this party system to, and we're essentially living out this battle of opposing forces. But that doesn't need to be like that. We don't have to live like this. But there are a large portion of the people still see that that's the only option, when it's not. This is the reason why I do these videos, is to provide the different perspectives and the different choices that we all have available to us right now. We are not stuck in a certain scenario that everyone has to go through. We have choices. But the main thing is, it requires change. It requires you and I to change, to align with greater harmony and balance, to align with the new instead of the old, and so on. It's a choice that we all have.